Hello everyone, my name is Lucy Choi and I'm a member of Spring 2015 Publications Committee. I'm extremely happy to introduce our new blog series, A Day in the Life, in which we'll be featuring some of ABA's alumni and cabinet, along with some of the hobbies they hold outside of ABA. Today we'll be featuring Kevin Ho Nguyen.
Hello everyone, as Lucy said, my name is Kevin Ho Nguyen and I serve as a photographer for the UC Berkeley Office of Communications and Public Affairs. The core of what I'm interested in is storytelling. I think that's best exemplified by my major decisions, but also through my passions, such as photography. I think that I'm very interested in how things present themselves and what these appearances tell about where they come from. So my photography journey began my freshman year when I actually started first shooting at ABA events. Although I wasn't on the publications committee, I actually just shot simply what I thought was what was interesting. And at the time I would consider it merely a hobby, but as I began to shoot more and more and my passion and interest developed, I think I began to see it more as an art form, and I really aim for my images to captivate the audience and make them feel something they haven't felt before or to remind them of something very significant. So I consider photography to be a lifestyle because I'm always interested, invested, and looking for a specific type of aesthetic. I think that people have the misconception to believe that photography is the creation of images, and while it is, you're actually not making anything out of nothing. You're actually just narrowing perspective. You're looking at things a certain type of way, the way I want you to see it. And sometimes the way I want you to see things isn't necessarily the most pleasing way. I shoot photos with the intention of telling a story, and whether that means capturing the best of people or the worst, I think that in itself is an art. So the thing about overcast is that while it appears very gloomy, it's actually relatively great lighting for photographers because it doesn't create harsh shadows, which is really good on your subjects because when you're actually shooting people, you don't want a harsh shadow to fall. So the thing about overcast is that while it appears very gloomy, it's actually relatively, for beauty / aesthetic shots, you want your subject to be relatively well lit, and that's why overcast is great. The only problem with overcast is that, well, you don't get to work with sunlight, which makes photos a little more warm. And in addition to that, it does limit the actual amount of light available right now. But that being said, your camera doesn't have to work too hard when you're shooting in this kind of lighting because it's still pretty bright outside. So one thing that's tricky about photography is actually the business aspect. Because while a lot of clientele can tell the difference between good photos and the great photos, they don't really know what goes into, I guess, making that great photo so great, even though it's so minute. And I think that's what really differentiates photography from being a mere product to an art form. As a result, your work tends to be undervalued and everyone's always trying to undercut you. And when you're actually trying to sell your services, it really follows the laws of supply and demand. If there's a lot of good photographers in your area, you're going to be competing with them. Whereas if your clientele doesn't really know of any good photographers, you might be able to charge a premium. What I usually tend to do when I'm charging my services for photography is working with my clientele, helping them to understand how long it has taken me to hone my craft, and work with them within their budget capacity to get them a product that they want, that they deserve, and that they have. Okay. So that's what a typical shoot looks like. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed a day in the life of a photographer.